I was not emotionally ready for this episode, and all I can say is if you didn't watch after the credits, you gotta go watch after the credits, because holy shit, that I definitely wasn't expecting. Because we pretty much made it through Shin and the 86 battle unscathed in the way of main characters going out. It's not to say it wasn't a bloodbath, they lost so damn much, and we came this close to losing Shin himself. And then they transitioned to Lena's side because pretty much ever since last week, it kind of gave us the impression that her side fell. But would she end up dying there, right? You know, she's got to come back. So then they transition for the last handful of minutes, showing us what she's willing to do. You're seeing the uncle, and the uncle's pretty much doing what he's always done. He definitely is shielding her, but he's also trying to wake her up to reality that the 86 would never fight for us after what we've done. You can have your childhood dreams, but they're dreams nonetheless. But he's willing to die to give her some time to at the very least have those dreams. And it's one of those situations that you're probably a little mad, you know, she's trying to do the right thing, he's pushing back, but then when you see him pick up the gun saying, you know, go get crushed, you understand where he's coming from. A sense of compassion, wanting to help her, but also a sense of reality that he just can't see any way around. And when you see her connect to everything and it becomes like that giant web, like, I'm surprised her brain didn't fry, but it really goes and shows how far she's come. And I thought that was well and good. I was like, damn, next week we're going to see something brutal. And then the credits play, right? And, you know, it's nice, and then it transitions, and then we're talking with Best Girl Frederica. She's talking about where she thinks the brother is at, and then that scene pops up, and seemingly there he is, and I would not be shocked in the slightest if someone died from that assault. Holy shit, 86 can't come back soon enough. Saturdays are a blessing with shows like Faraway Paladin 86 airing. This is incredible. Now, first things first, let's look at Shin's side. Let's talk about Shin's side, because what their side is doing is completely logical. Shin has not explained why he can hear voices, or hasn't even said that. He hasn't explained why he thinks there's a bigger assault than what they're planning for. And their side, this army, was preparing for their largest scale assault. It wasn't like Lena's side that just kind of got drunk and did jack shit. They were preparing for the ultimate assault. So a kid who is traumatized from the battlefield telling you that he's giving you this unrealistic number that they can't comprehend, there's no reason to trust it, nor should a trained army trust potentially a PTSD soldier who's maybe setting you up for failure. But there's a difference when that same person pulls a gun on you and says, we're going to the battlefield or I'll kill you. It's something that at that point they can't really refuse. And even if they listened to him a little earlier, nothing would have changed. Like, he prepared them well enough for the initial assault, and sadly, there's not much you can do when that many Legion are approaching. They did such a good job at showing computer screens in this episode and showing the pure data of things, because it's easy when you see like an army of these bots approaching, but then when you get the digital version of it and you just see almost like a numerical number, because you get the kind of size comparison of their armies, but you're like, okay, you know, they're all in their trenches, maybe they'll be able to do something. And then you get here's 1,000 versus 100, and you're like, oh god, the screen just says it all. They are going to die. And to see the fight and the maneuverability, I've always loved the 86 and how they jump around, the grappling hooks, the long distance assault with sniper rifles, to Shin's kind of bouncy spider maneuvers, but then the brutality of the Legion it really felt like Doomsday was there for them. You have these soldiers who are well equipped to the best of their ability, but when you have these giant monstrosities approaching and the buildings are on fire, I mean, the way they used lighting in this episode was probably some of my favorite that 86 has done today, because we've seen battlefields with things on fire and things like that, but to have what's basically a normal city and to see the way the metallics on the bots were basically being engulfed with these oranges and yellows, you really got a sense that things were on fire. And the way they did that attention to detail, not just like the sparks flying or the flames in the distance, it was how it was reflecting on their actual metallic kind of metal and things like that. It was so well done, and that's what made it so much more devastating than if it would have just been boom, assault, move on. But they added it to feel like this was actually a city on fire and you're never going to rebuild from this. It's pretty much impossible given that you don't even think they're going to live. And the build up throughout the episode was Shin. I mean, before the battle started, he literally told Raiden to not connect to him unless absolutely necessary. We're seeing him petrified, right? And we've seen this steady development of Shin starting to fear and starting to feel. And I was wondering what that would look like, because what would he do if he starts valuing his life? Would that cause people to get killed? Or on the flip side, what happens if he completely loses his marbles, which he kind of almost did? Like, he was on a suicide run in this episode. When it started building up the momentum and we switched over to Frederica and just seeing from her perspective the fear, like when you saw what his bot was looking like, and it looked worse than paper mache back in Core 1 that they were using. And to see him in, the slash across the face, you really were getting a sense that the Shin we knew was not there, and an autopilot took over, and that autopilot, I think, was hoping for death, because the pain of reality and what is a future is getting too much to bear, so he would much rather just go out. And when he came to afterwards, I mean, there was something so great about the symbolism of, like, focusing on the Reaper symbol. The face was cut off and the name Reaper was pretty much blown off from just the debris. It really feels like the Reaper, as we once knew, is dead, and Shin is at a crossroads of, does he become human and think of a future, or does he die like a suicidal bastard? And there's going to be no middle ground that he once had, because his time limit has run out. He made it past his expiration date, so now he doesn't know what to do. And the pain of having a little girl who sees him as the new big brother, another parental figure in a lot of ways. It's just, that was so painful, and the action and the way it told a story throughout it, I mean, that was like 12 minutes of almost non-stop action, and there was a couple of lighthearted moments. You've seen some of the 86 smile, but that was pain. And then to switch it over to Lena, who, she has gone so far and has so much respect these days, but also has such a lack of respect on her home turf. And her idea of bringing them into hopefully one last assault, there's a potential to make us survive. And the logic from the uncle saying, why would they fight for us? They would rather laugh and fight by themselves. They would have a better likely chance of winning and wouldn't have to put up with our drunken bullshit, which is completely logically correct. But then you get the counter of not just like an emotional Lena being like, I want to help them. Well, we have things that they will never be able to have, so they need to protect us so that we can give them these items. And then he counters, and it's this back and forth, and then ultimately, the one who ends up more emotional between the two actually was the uncle, siding with her kind of like childhood dream, fully believing he's gonna die, she's gonna die, but at this point, go ahead. We have nothing else to lose, and if somehow you manage to be right, well, hopefully I get to see that day, sort of a thing. And I'm so curious, because even if they did completely fall, I don't think Lena's gone. I feel like the development of her character, I feel like there's still more to tell with that, and I feel like there is going to be at the very least one more reunion with her and Shin, and if not, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe we had a situation where Shin meets her on the battlefield in the form of one of these Legion. I mean, that is possible, and that would be heartbreaking, but either way, one of the best 86 episodes, but really every episode almost feels that way because this is a quality anime production. The sound effects, the lighting, the animation. I am so happy with how A1 animates the Legion kind of fight scenes and things like that, with the way they blend the 2D with the 3D. It's so seamless, it's so smooth, and it's so goddamn depressing when you see the carnage and the just devastation of the landscape. I think landscapes can be one of the things anime studios overlook because it's easy to have a hulking machine blow apart a body, but it's another when you really look in the background details when things are approaching and you realize those were people's homes. That was a family, and now it's just rubble and flames and blood, and it's pretty heartbreaking. Of course, as always, thoughts and feelings on 86 theories. If you don't know of the source material, leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.